Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my homemade pizza dough recipe. It is the only pizza dough recipe that I will use. Let's just go ahead and get started. I have some warm water in a bowl here, and to that I'm going to go ahead and add in some granulated sugar and 1 packet of yeast. I'm going to go ahead and add that in, and we're going to set this aside. I'm just going to gently mix in the yeast, the sugar, and the water together, and then set it aside for about 5 minutes or so. Just let that water and the yeast and everything, let the yeast come alive and become nice and frothy. So just set that aside, and let's move over to our next ingredients. Into my bowl here, I have some all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to go ahead and add in some salt. Just going to give that a nice mix to make sure that the salt is fully incorporated throughout the flour. And after about 5 minutes, we can see that the yeast is starting to become activated and alive. It's becoming nice and frothy. I'm going to go ahead and add in some vegetable oil to my yeast and water. And of course, guys, all the amounts will be listed below in the description box for you guys. Just going to go ahead and add that in and give that a little mix. Now, some of the sugar may have settled at the bottom, so just mix it all in. And then we're going to make a well in the center of our bowl here with our flour, and then we're going to add in our water and yeast, sugar, and oil. I'm going to start off with my spoon here to start incorporating all of the dry and wet ingredients together. And once most of that flour and water and everything has become incorporated together, we're just going to go ahead and start kneading this with our hands. Now, the ingredients for this are so basic and simple, and that's what's great about this pizza crust. It's really just, it's as important as the sauce and the toppings, but it's just basic enough so that all the other toppings and sauces and cheese and everything really shines through with the pizza. But it's so easy and it's so perfect. So after I've just mixed everything, I'm just going to put this onto my counter, make sure I get all the flour out of my bowl and everything, and just place it onto my counter. And I'm going to take my hands and try to bring in my dough, kind of to make like a little dough ball. Just kind of like a circle, just to bring it all into one, and then we're going to go ahead and start kneading this. So once I've brought it into one piece here, I'm going to go ahead and use the back of my palm, my wrist area, right there. I'm just going to go ahead and start into the center of my little dough here, and I'm going to go ahead and push out using that part of my wrist, gently push out on it. And when I do that, I'm just going to bring it back into itself, turning the dough as I go, and I'm just going to continue doing that for about 5 to 8 minutes or so. I'm just going to continue picking up any little pieces of flour or any crumbs that are on the counter, and just knead this for about 5 to 8 minutes. Make sure to incorporate all of that flour and everything that's on the counter, and about 5 minutes later, you will have this perfectly smooth dough ball. It is amazing. I just love to knead dough. I don't know why. It's just relaxing. So after about 5 to 8 minutes, it's beautiful. It's nice and soft. I'm going to go ahead and divide this into 2 pieces because this is going to make about 2 large pizzas, depending on how thick you make your crust, but large to extra large. I'm going to take 1/2 that I've just cut here and take the 2 ends and bring it into itself like so. Just try to make a circle, and then bring it all in, tuck it at the bottom just to make a nice round dough ball. So when we do make our pizza, it's easier to start with a round dough ball than any other shape. I'm going to place this in my bowl, and I'm going to cover this. Now, if you wanted to make a freezer pizza dough, this would be the point where you want to place in your Ziploc bag, put the date on it, and place it into your freezer. You don't want to let it proof or anything or rise or anything at this point, but I'm going to be using both of my dough balls today to make 2 pizzas. But if you wanted to have one in the freezer just to pull out at any time and defrost and then use, this would be the point where you'll put it into your freezer. But I will have that in the description box for you if you are interested in making freezer pizza doughs. So I'm going to place that in my bowl and let that rise for about 30 to 45 minutes on a nice warm area until it's about doubled or a little bit more in size. I usually like to wait for a little bit more than double in size. And I'm just going to sprinkle about a teaspoon of flour. Really don't need much, but just a little bit onto my surface. I'm going to just place my dough ball onto my counter. Flatten it out with my hands. And at this point, you can get as fancy schmancy as you want. You can stretch it out with your hands. I prefer a rolling pin. I love how I can get a really nice even crust with my rolling pin, and I do that. I just roll it out to my desired size, just making sure that everything is even, but on the ends, I just have a little bit of a thicker piece so that I can make the crust for my pizza. So just roll it out, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my fingers to make a nice little crust. And you do definitely want to make sure that your oven is already preheated to 450 degrees. You want to make sure that it's preheated for at least 15 to 20 minutes at least before you put in the pizza, so it's really nice and hot. Put it on your pizza plate, whatever you have, pizza stone, pizza tray, put your sauce on, your toppings on, and then bake it just for about 10 minutes or so. Depending on the size of your crust and everything, 8 to 12 minutes. 10 minutes is usually a sweet spot for me until it's nice golden brown on top, and that's it. Wait for it to cool for about maybe 10 minutes or so before cutting into it so this cheese and everything doesn't go slatting everywhere. And this is the perfect pizza crust. I can make an amazing thin crust pizza with this, and what I love about it is I can put all that sauce and toppings on top of it and it doesn't fall apart on me. It holds so well on any toppings, on any sauce, any amount of sauce and stuff. Of course, you don't want to put too much on any pizza. It's not recommended to put too much sauce or toppings on your pizza, but this is perfection. I hope that you guys enjoy this recipe. All the amounts are in the description box, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.